The Wastelanders update for Fallout 76 is coming out soon. How soon? Well, we don't actually know for sure, but we've been told it's for full content for the game, so my guess would be either the end of this month or the very start of next. We know that patch 13 is coming on the 10th, just a few days away, and with it comes a new map for Nuclear Winter, a big update to the way events work, and some general bug and stability fixes, as standard. That will tick off everything from the Nuclear Winter roadmap, meaning that any new content will be a part of the Wastelanders update, and we know that Bethesda doesn't like to go too long without something new coming to the game. Wastelanders is an update that a lot of the Fallout community is excited for. With it, we get the inclusion of living human NPCs, something that a lot of players wanted from the start. Not only will this update add more NPCs, but it also promises new weapons, new enemies, modified locations, and a whole new main quest line to complete. It's clearly going to be a real big update, and one that will change the game in a major way, possibly even having the potential to draw in people who originally snubbed the game, or those who grew tired of the game in the early months. If the update comes out in a fully formed manner and doesn't cause any problems, then it could completely turn around public perception of the game. Trouble is, pretty much every recent update has caused more problems than it has solved. These bugs have ranged from comical to unfair.
There's a tree here that might pose a problem. Oh, you tosser!
To downright game ruining in the case of a recent bug with the vault raids, which has left a few players with nothing in their inventories. Bugs like these have caused plenty of people to stop playing the game, and interest in 76 seems to be as low as ever right now. With a lineup of great games coming out soon, Fallout 76 needs to put up a real fight if it wants to not only gain new players, but also just keep the ones already playing. Borderlands 3 comes out in just under a week, which will likely draw away a large amount of the looter-shooter crowd. I, for one, plan on covering that game at release, which means I'll have my time split in September regardless. Then in October we have The Outer Worlds dropping, an RPG by Obsidian, a company which has won over the hearts of many RPG fans, so I'm certain a lot of current 76 players will also be spending time in that game. Think of 76 like a bucket with a hole in the bottom. Water is constantly going to leave the bucket, and if you don't keep topping it up, then eventually it will dry out completely. So what exactly does Wastelanders need to do to keep that bucket full? I think there are 4 main points it needs to hit in order to be successful. First of which is to make us care about the NPCs. It's all well and good adding living humans into the game, but that won't change much if they're little more than basic quest givers and merchants. We need to see them not as quest markers to head to, but instead as actual people with their own hopes, dreams and fears. This is where the faction and companion systems will likely help out most of all. We don't know too much about either system, but it's likely they'll help with fleshing out all of the new characters. I've found that the dead raiders in 76 already often have interesting personalities. Plenty of them were well-meaning people who simply didn't have the means to survive, and found themselves in a world where the good guys often weren't willing to share, leaving them with a choice to waste away and die, or to fight and kill in order to get what they needed. Just that little summary there shows how easy it can be to make characters that the player can care about. Make them morally grey, and don't force an opinion about them down our throats, and we'll decide if we like the character or not. Regardless of our decision, if we're making that choice, then the character has been fleshed out enough to make them a worthwhile addition. I want to go on quests with companions where they reminisce about life before the bombs dropped, or where they marvel at the sight of a mutated flora. I don't want an escort mission where I have to kill waves of ghouls as generic NPC 50 stands at a terminal doing an idle animation for 5 straight minutes. Next is replayable content. We know there's going to be a new main questline, but if it's a one and done scenario, then it won't hold people for long. There also needs to be repeatable content that's added alongside this story. More events, encounters, and maybe even something special like faction workshops, which are fought over between raiders and settlers. 76 is an online game where most people seem to stick with a single main character as the one in which they sink for most hours. This is why events have been such a critical part of the game so far. They're short missions which you can do over and over again in order to earn rewards. If the content added with Wastelanders either can't be repeated or just isn't all that worth repeating, then most players will only be coming back to the game for a short spell and then heading off to play something else until the next content drop. This in and of itself isn't a bad thing, but it's probably not what Bethesda wants, and it wouldn't fare well for the game overall. The world will also need to evolve as the update drops. We've already seen that some locations are changing, but I'm hoping there will be much more than just this. As the raiders take over, I want to see them have a greater presence in different areas. Let's say there are a lot of successful raider-based missions and events in the Savage Divide. Well, maybe the various raider sub-factions drive out the super mutant outposts, and take them over for themselves. Maybe even a little infighting occurs as different faction leaders try to stake their claim on their own mini-fortresses. Likewise, the settlers could expand their presence more and more if they aren't being harassed too heavily by the raiders. If the raiders then start making a focused effort on stealing from the settlers though, then maybe settlements near to raider outposts are slowly abandoned and their population flees to a further location. A system like this would allow us to walk around a map which doesn't always feel exactly the same. Right now, the biggest change in West Virginia is whether or not the robots in Watoga will attack you. Everywhere else, everything stays the same, unless it's currently nuked. Doesn't matter how many times you kill the eponymous boss of Wendigo Cave, it will always be there to face you once more. Having an adaptive world would make the game far more captivating to play for both regular players and casuals alike. For those of us jumping in every day, we get to see the smallest of shifts in power. For someone who only jumps in every few weeks, they could just visit a completely different wasteland month to month. Maybe they jump on in December and the settlers are doing well. Appalachia has become a more peaceful and prosperous place where you don't always need to carry a weapon, but instead can get by with a kind word and a charming smile. The player logs in again in January, and all of a sudden the raiders have had an uprising. Once jovial encampments have been razed to the ground, and are now being fought over by mutants and raiders, each hoping to take the area for themselves. As amazing as all of these changes would be, the most important thing that needs to happen is the update needs to actually work. As I mentioned at the start of the video, the game is currently not in the best of shape. It's been gaining more and more bugs each week, and the lag too has been increasing. Wastelanders will be a pretty big update, and add a lot to the current world. This will almost certainly lead to more load times, and lag in populated areas if a fight breaks out. If NPCs also start bugging out, we might not be able to complete quests, gain rewards, or even play any of the new content. None of us want to be playing a broken game, and the current issues are already causing many to take some time away from it. I myself have already decided I won't worry about streaming the game tomorrow. Instead of 76, I'm going to be playing some Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning, a bit of a hidden gem in the fantasy RPG genre. Even though I know less people will tune in, I just don't have enough to do in 76 right now. And whenever I do try and get stuff done, there always seems to be some random bug or glitch that slows me down. The best ideas and mechanics could be added to this game, but it simply won't matter if they don't work how they're supposed to. Fallout has always had a bit of a history with bugs, but this really needs to change at some point. If core parts of a game keep breaking, then the already dwindling player base will leave for greener pastures. The Wastelanders update may be the last chance Bethesda has for salvaging this game's overall reputation. If all goes well, then the game will reach new heights, but if things go horribly wrong, then I wouldn't be at all surprised if people start leaving the game at a far faster rate than new players decide to give it a go, eventually leading to a truly dead game at some point in the future. Wow, that was a surprisingly depressive take coming from me. I'm normally a pretty positive and hopeful voice in the community, so it might be a bit weird hearing me say all that stuff. I would like to clarify that I do have high hopes for Wastelanders. I want it to be the best it can possibly be, and would love it if the wider gaming community came around to Fallout 76, just like how No Man's Sky was shredded at launch, but slowly has become a positively viewed game by most people who give it a try these days. Anyway, that's enough of my speculation for Wastelanders. What do you think the update will bring? And will it be enough to keep you playing, or are you just holding off for Borderlands, Outer Worlds, or Cyberpunk in the coming months? Let me know with a comment. Like I mentioned previously, I'm streaming some Kingdoms of Amalur tomorrow, so make sure to drop by for that to see just why I can't help but praise that game. If you want to make sure you see the stream, then make sure you have clicked the notification bell as well as subscribing to the channel. You can also join my Discord or follow me on Twitter, as I post for streams there when I start. Links to both will be in the description. If you've made it to the end of the video, please leave a like, and why not watch another? There's always plenty more to keep you entertained. As always, thanks for watching. Sarge out.